Hello and welcome to Coffee with an Expert. I'm Magali Cario, Marketing Manager at GE Vernova in the manufacturing team. Let's review the meeting details while attendees finish to log in. Next. This session is recorded and all attendees are muted. Please do feel free to ask your questions using the chat. They will be answered at the end. You'll find the chat icon in the Teams menu as displayed on the screen. Please keep an eye on the chat. We will paste useful information as well as a link to a survey that we encourage you to take as we really enjoy reading your feedback. Next. Coffee with an Expert is a monthly meeting series, 30 minutes every month to discuss digital manufacturing and smart factories with our GE Vernova experts. Thank you for joining us. See our schedule for the year. Feel free to register for the sessions of your choice using this QR code. You can access the replay of past sessions using the QR code as well as the two ones that are left for this year, one on connected worker and one on delighting customers with results. Next. Today, we are meeting to discuss how to streamline the shop floor schedule. To explore this promising topic, we are joined by Anders Holberg and Dennis Hasselman, our expert from the business consultant team. We are also joined by a third expert, a very special guest, Roger Palman, solution architect at Nouryon.
Okay, thank you, Magali, for the introduction. So let's have a closer look to our Proficy software. Next slide, please. So Proficy software is actually all about helping our customers increasing their quality, productivity, reliability, and also look into sustainability goals. But if we talk about these industry challenges, for example, enterprise scale, that's why we also will look deeper into the example with Roger this morning. If we think about how to drive effective operations and also how to make data work and get insights from it, that links back to our demo use case around warnings that we will see today. And also we will take some hints around sustainability later on in the discussion. Next slide, please. The Proficy software suite is actually a complete portfolio. It spans from the automation level up to the ERP. So starting with our Proficy SCADA HMI, but also with our analytics components, which also drive sustainability insights, time series data with Historian, or manufacturing with plant applications, and then especially also our Proficy scheduling module, where we will have a closer look today. If you ask yourself the question, where can I actually enable this Proficy scheduler? You can do that on-premise in your cloud infrastructure, but as well also have it available as a SaaS solution. Over to Anders now, and let's have a look on how we streamline our shop floor schedule.
Thank you, Dennis. Good morning, everybody. Thanks for joining. Today, we're going to talk about production planning and scheduling. So first slide is something about why we have problems with planning sometimes. So some of the issues from a planning or a management point of view. First of all, ineffective planning process is typically plans that are not updated or shared. Excel planning is often used, but these have no integrations with other systems, for example, MES or ERP systems. Execution challenges relates to bad delivery performance. Delivery dates are often missed and difficult to give new and precise delivery dates to the customers. Often there's a lot of firefighting in form of what should we produce instead and in the right sequence. Increased production costs. A lot of overtime add cost to your calculations and products. There could be rising inventory, both in amount, but also in space on your warehouses. Lack of agility. So that means that your plans is ineffective and with no flexibility. It comes down to how to handle changes on a daily basis. Changes happens every day, so we need a tool to handle them fast and easy. So this slide indicates that we put the planner in the center of all these changes that happens every day. So the planner needs to have a tool that was fast and easy and easy to handle. And when the planner can execute his kind of work, building up a good schedule, a lot of functions and persons around him will really benefit from this good planning. And a few examples could be purchase department versus planning. So because we have all the ingoing materials and stock available in our tool, we can fast see if we have some problems with ingoing material, like material shortage and that. Another example could be, imagine you are a member of the management level, and you have some questions to ask about what will happen if long-term decisions should be made. For example, imagine that there's a CEO asks, what will happen if we grow the company by 10% per year? So because the planner can do what-if scenarios, we can actually predict the outcome from such questions and make a good decision on should we hire new operators, should we buy new machines, and stuff like that. So really good benefit, not only to the production planner and the production itself, but a lot of persons and functions can benefit from good planning. So when we talk about planning, we actually have 3 layers of planning. So the first layer, and this is our focus, is what we call the detailed scheduling. The detailed scheduling is a production planning running from now and some days or weeks ahead. So the typically focus area is that the planning is very tight planned. We have checked everything we can, so we don't have any issues with the plan. No delays, no material shortage, no capacity problems, and etc. So this is our main focus. Then the next level in planning is what we call the MIP planning. This has often been done in ERP systems, and it's mainly doing calculations on which and how many orders you have to create, how many production orders and purchase orders you have to create. And this is the next level in planning, often done in ERP. The third level is forecast planning. If you have some kind of forecast system for that, maybe it's the ERP system, but there are systems especially for that. This relates to the really long-term planning and the effect of that. Could be months, could be half years, or even years ahead. These 2 levels, mostly done in other systems. We can bring them into our tool, but we have most focused on the detailed scheduling. So what is it that, what kind of value is related to good planning? So just some examples for those is really reduce lead time. That could be also both internal lead times, but also lead times for our customers. You can reduce the amount of overtime and really be effective with your calculations. Time spent on planning and meetings can be reduced. Increase in productivity. And this is very often the very highest score on this value proposition. Increase in productivity, very, very good. Last, customer satisfaction. You can gain high delivery performance towards your customers. So there was just some of them. There are a lot of more, but this was some of them, yeah. So before we go to the actual demo, I would like to have focus on how we actually work with our tool. So we have 3 focus areas. So imagine you are the planner, and you go home today, and you know for a fact that tomorrow and maybe the next day, you have no delays towards your customer. You have no material shortage on purchased and intermediate products. And you have your capacity available, all machines and employees are present. These 3 things, if these are in order, then you have a production plan that can be executed in your production. And if it's not the case, we get these warnings for indicating if we have some kind of problem. And this is important because our tool really focus on these warnings, because when you act on warnings, you can locate the problems very fast, and you are able to solve them in a good manner. So now we switch to the tool itself. So this is a Proficy scheduler when you open the software. And what is it that we see in this picture? So in the left side, we have all your resources. Resources can be machines, it can be operators, it can be tools, it can be departments, and so on. And in the middle section, we have all our orders. So we have one production order indicating by this, we can highlight this green order. So we have the full production order, and the bars in between is the work order itself or the operations. So in this case, we can see that there's an arrow between the operation, and this indicates that that this operation has to be finished before the next, and so on. So going back to the full overview of all your orders and all production order and work orders, we can see how they are planned in a sequence. For example, if we go to this laser cutter 1, and if we take a bit deeper look at this only this machine, we can just highlight that, and we can see that the operations are planned in this way. This is the first order that has to be made, and then the next, and the next, and so on. So what I mentioned before, that we have these, at least these 3 warnings that we can activate, so the planner can, or they can help with building up a good planning. So the first one was keeping delivery dates, and we have a button we call color scheme, and color schemes helps the planner with these warnings. So when we activate this milestone button, we can see that we have some green and red orders. So we just color the orders in a way that the green ones, they are delivered on time, but the red ones are delayed. So just by pushing a button, the planner can see and focus his work on fixing those delivery problems with these orders. In the same way, we have a color scheme called material shortage, and if we activate this, we can see that again the green one are okay with the material that we should use for this production, but the red ones have some kind of problem. And if you want to go a little bit deeper in knowing what material is it that we are missing, so we can highlight that, we can press this warehouse indicator, and we can see that this is the material that that causes the problem. So we press that. We have what we call a transaction list down below, and we can actually see that in this line here, we go below 0, and it's on the 16th of October. So we have a way to see the future stock level for each material. So we can highlight and fix this problem. And maybe the fix or the solution is that we can increase a purchase order, or we can even create a new purchase order. So that may be vary. So now we have 2 warnings, milestone and material shortage. So the third one is related to capacity. And just to show how that can be done. We have this laser cutter one again as an example, and we have what we call a workload graph down in the bottom section. And this graph indicates, in this case, how many percentage have we utilized for this laser cutter one. And in this case, we can see that the numbers turn red. And the reason for that is that we go over 100%. And if we go to the details itself, we can see that we have actually double booked this machine with 2 orders. And maybe this machine can only make 1 order at a time. So we have overbooked capacity for this machine. The production planner can see it, and he can do some kind of replanning and fix the problem. Okay, so if you want to go to a very detailed planning in this view, we can zoom in and we can zoom out. Now you can see that we are on a time or hour basis. And if we want to go the other way, we can zoom to month and even years if that's the case. So this really depends on how you want to do the planning in your company. Good. So when it goes down to the actual planning itself, that can be done in different ways. So we have what we call planning strategies, and planning strategies could be that we want to plan our orders forward from now, or forward planning. This gives a very tight planning, and there's maybe no indication of free capacity. And the opposite of that is that you can actually push all your orders, for example, towards your delivery date, and in that way you can free your machines and indicate that maybe there is free capacity in your production plan. Sometimes when you plan in a factory or for a customer, this is a combination of those two. Maybe you want to plan the first couple of days forward from now because this gives this tight planning, and maybe you have orders laying or placed a month ahead. You don't want to plan them forward for now, but backwards from delivery day and push them towards the delivery date. So we have also what we call manual planning. And just to show how that can be done, we have this order here. We can indicate that, and we can just move it around, or we can move one operation at a time. So we actually have a fourth warning, and this is called a broken constraint. So you saw that I moved this order. So if this operation is placed in our schedule on the right side of the next operation, this constraint will just be black. But if it's in an unlogic way, this should be able to be produced before that. The indicator will turn red, and indicating that we have a problem here. So again, react on warnings for our production plan. So just to take a recap: milestone indicating delivery problems, material shortage indicating that we have an ingoing material problem, and capacity, maybe we have some overbooked capacity. So with a production planner, have fixed these 3 things in this plan, everything is okay, and we can execute the production plan. Good. That was a fast run through of our software. Of course, it can do a lot more, have more capabilities, but this was the short version. So back to Dennis.
All right. Thank you very much, Anders, for the great insights. And now that we know about warnings in the scheduling module, I would say, let's see about insights we get from the fields. So I invite Roger here to the call. So Roger, first of all, thank you for joining us today. Can you present Nouryon and yourself to the audience, please?
Yeah, sure. I'm Roger Palman, about 50 years old. After spending a long time in consulting in manufacturing execution systems, I moved to Nouryon a few years ago. And they're responsible as a solution architect for all our manufacturing applications, and Scheduler is one of them. Maybe on an introduction on Nouryon. So Nouryon is a specialty chemicals company, and we have around 80 production plants globally. So we have a bit more of an interesting case where we also have, for all those 80 plants, we have about 40 of them use scheduler, and that's all on a centralized scheduler installation.
Okay, that's definitely enterprise scale. So Roger, talking about challenges, I mean, before, let me say, Proficy Scheduler was introduced at Nouryon, what were the specific challenges that you were facing before?
Yeah, I think those are, again, related to that global scale. So it depends a bit on the maturity of sites. Some already had a package, some of them didn't have anything, but struggled with scheduling issues. Some of them built something in Excel and struggle to keep that up to date with master data and business rules and understanding how that worked again when people left the company. So yeah, there's a lot of challenges to really make scheduling work, and especially looking at an enterprise scale.
Okay, I mean, our customers definitely on the call might be interested into, let me say, MES. Did you integrate that time also the Proficy Scheduler with the MES?
A bit yes and no. We mainly do detailed scheduling on production orders from our ERP system, but we have an integration with MES that we update production progress and production quantities back so that you can optimize, are always up to date on if you produce in time, but also if you over or underproduced on planned batches, so that you can really do very detailed scheduling.
Okay, and for the audience, that MES is definitely also Proficy Smart Factory.
Yeah.
Now, about the benefits realized, I would say, can you tell me something about that? I mean, like after the integration of Proficy Scheduler?
Of course, well, having one standard tool globally makes it a lot cheaper overall. It might not be cheaper for one individual plant, so that really requires some strategic thinking from the company side. But also all the other benefits. So you have much less things like changeover times because you can schedule more effectively. We also have benefits plainly on the shop floor. So we have up-to-date dispatch reports available so that people know what to produce, but also which materials are required when and where on the plant. In some cases, that even integrates towards the DCS system so that they can automatically start plant batches or change things if they see fit on the DCS system. So yeah, definitely a lot of benefits.
Okay, no, great. Another aspect that I think is valued a lot is if there is the right user adaptation in place, I would say. So how did that adaptation go across the different sites?
Well, if you get some scale in a global company, then of course your tool is the cheapest one to use, and you have a lot of capabilities that fits all the mature sites, so that also often fits smaller sites. But I think one important thing to understand there, it's not only about the tool and the technology, but also about the understanding of scheduler. And scheduling in a more broad perspective. So bringing the expert from like Anders, but also understanding where detailed scheduling fits in your more overall plan. So your material resource planning on a multi-month period, or things setups like a production wheel, because the detailed scheduling can solve a lot of issues. But if you start with a bad plan, then of course it's much more difficult to optimize that.
It's clear that you have your expertise there, Roger. What would be the advice you give to the audience here when starting with capacity scheduling?
That's a good question. Yeah, I think a little bit like I said before, don't look too closely at the tool, but really bring in the experience to look at your whole planning cycle. So longer term, shorter term, detailed scheduling, and see, okay, what is really the points where I need help, and where a detailed scheduling application can provide the most value.
I think it feels a bit the same like with AI. I mean, just also take the common sense, look to the overall picture, and bring those experiences and insights in the tool, and then you will leverage the most out of it. Roger,
And just
Thank
like
you
with
very
AI,
much for
yeah?
the discussion today.
You're welcome.
So over to you, Magali. Let's have a look to the questions in the chat.
Sure, thank you. Thank you very much, Roger, for this interview. This is always very insightful to hear from a customer, and thank you very much, Anders and Dennis, for this overview of Scheduler. So we will look at the question. I just wanted to mention as well that we will share the recording of this session, so you can replay it and share it with your colleagues. And so please do feel free to ask your questions in the chat. There's still time to answer them. Or to reach out to our colleague, Cataldo Tarantini. You can see his email on the screen. He will take care of your questions and share them with the experts that can best answer it. So, about the questions that we have. So, is Proficy Scheduler available as a SaaS solution?
Yeah, I think that's a great question. If you look to our overall portfolio, we have the Proficy Smart Factory. In Proficy Smart Factory, you can have our detailed scheduling capability as an additional module available. But yes, we also now provide that standalone with our SaaS offering. So that's definitely possible.
Great. Another question, how system calculate queue time?
Anders, would you like to answer that one?
Yes, we have some capabilities around setup times and how to optimize that. We have some automated functions that can do that. And yeah, that's part of our solution. Yes.
Fantastic. One more question. Can the shop floor schedule provide insights on when to produce, given that energy cost varies during the day?
That's a very interesting question. I think it's a topic that we get a lot, and we're working with a lot of customers closely together. I would say on indeed bringing some energy insights into that capacity plan. And that can start even with simple use cases, like if you think about ovens and furnaces, we can look into like when to switch them on, when to switch them off, and still remain with the right capacity in place. I think one of the warnings that Anders already mentioned in the demo use case was exactly to look like, okay, do we have the capacity available? Another aspect that we can combine is indeed when is the best time to use it. That can be, for example, also with energy details from the markets, where you have, for example, these 15-minute cycles that tell you something about how the energy prices are going. If you want more, definitely reach out to Cataldo for that.
Great. So we have time for one more question. I also wanted to mention that we invite you to join our Proficy Robex Scheduler Conference in Denmark in beginning of November. I've pasted the information in the chat if you are interested. So one last question, is Proficy Scheduler Web equal to its original thick client version?
Okay, let's be fast on that one. I think you have all at your fingertips in the web planners that you need, let me say, to plan and also, let me say, consult and visualize scheduling on the shop floor. There might be some older capabilities or long-term capabilities that have not been ported there, but this is definitely more for the specialized, I would say, the non-standard use cases. So you're good to go.
Well, and one last question that just arrived, sorry. How resource allocation work when primary breakdown?
I sorry, I didn't catch that.
How resource allocation work when primary breakdown?
Okay.
Okay. So
when
we have breakdowns in our schedule, we need to enter those information as fast as we can. And from this information, this change in our setup, we can see the consequences on the remaining part of our production orders and work orders. So again, the production planner can see what the problem is. Maybe there's a delay, maybe there's a material shortage or something. and he or she should be able to solve that problem, because it's clear where the problem is.
And I think another aspect of it is what our smart factory customers do is they create actually that feedback loop, having the production progress, let me say, coupled back in the production plan. So when these breakdowns occur, you can even, for example, have an automatic replanning, or as Anders explained, look into that information. You're warned, you will see it, and that's what all Proficy scheduling is about.
So great. Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Roger, for joining us today for this coffee break on Scheduler. And thank you, Denise, Anders, and thank you all. We hope to see you in the next coffee break in November. It will be on Connected Worker. Thank you. Bye.
Thank you.
Thank you.